in an election year, you can rest assured that you're going to be fed a narrative line that connects factual elements, just like you said,
Yep.
into an overarching story that's designed to create both emotional and rational decision making in your mind. So they're taking advantage. I mean, this isn't something nefarious. This is just the standard approach to politics. It happens in every country, in every political circle, whether it's authoritarian or whether it's monarchy or whether it's democracy, right?
Right.
There's going to be a narrative, and that narrative is going to be written by pieces of propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
And those pieces of propaganda are individually created so that they trigger emotions and the perception of rational thought, even though it isn't really rational thought, because it's going to be a cognitive bias. They're going to target your cognitive biases, and they're going to target your emotional reasoning.
Yeah. And
that's what makes for a really good piece of propaganda. Not that, and again, you're exactly right. Propaganda has this negative connotation to it because people think it's manipulative. They're right.
Yeah.
It is manipulative, but it's not something that only bad guys use.
Yeah, they're
Propaganda
not just,
is something that's used by school districts.
Yeah.
It's used by the U.S. military for recruiting purposes. It's used by politicians for voting purposes, right?
Yeah.
You can get above all of the fear if you just understand what it is. And we've talked in the past about how important emotion is and getting people to feel emotional. Yeah. And that's why you hear the president give an address and talk about the poor 6-year-old child who died in Illinois.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to get you to feel emotion.
Yes.
And every time there's a State of the Union address and he points, the president points to some person in the stands. It's like, oh, here's a police officer who did this amazing thing, and here's a nurse who did this scary thing, and here's a soldier who did this brave thing. They're using emotions to stir us, to get us to persuade us to take a certain action or believe a certain thing. But that's all on the emotional side. I think the really relevant part of propaganda happens on the rational side, the cognitive bias side.
Yeah. And we have this product we created some time ago called News Hacker. And the very first lesson we teach is awareness of targeting. So you have to be aware as an individual that you are being targeted, right? You are somebody's target market, a politician's, a clothing store, an energy drink. You are lots of people's target market. And the messages that they're sending are specifically to target you and to target your cognitive biases. So your cognitive biases are, there's a number of cognitive biases, and they're all just shortcuts that your brain naturally makes. So it can, limit the processing time it has to do when information is coming in, right? So we all have cognitive biases, and that's okay. But what's important is to have awareness that those are being triggered.
If you like this short clip, make sure you click here to see the next clip or here to see the full podcast episode.